Hello and welcome to Camp Arowana's Monday Devotional. This week is Earth Day, a time each year for us to remember the value of this amazing, beautiful, diverse, huge, and yet so very small place which we call home. Earth Day reminds us that the resources we have here are finite. The water, the air, the plants, trees, animals, minerals, all of nature participates in this life cycle, the circle of life, which begins with birth and ends with death. Earth Day reminds us that we have a responsibility to take care of all these things, to manage our resources, to care for them, through preserving them as well as using them responsibly. The concept of Earth Day actually goes all the way back to the creation of the universe itself. When God placed Adam and Eve in the garden, that place of abundance, that paradise, He gave them a job. He gave them the responsibility of caring for the garden, of caring for the earth. Throughout Scripture, we see God use creation to illustrate and teach us about life and more about God. We see God teaching Job through the stars and constellations. We see David praising God for his creation in the Psalms. The prophets using clay, rivers, plants, animals to illustrate their messages. Jesus teaching with parables about trees, grapes, vines. We even see promises in God's revelation to John, a return to that perfect paradise, the perfect bookend to the scriptures themselves and their starting place in the garden with Adam and Eve. For many of us growing up, Earth Day meant each year being given a little sapling tree of our own to take home and plant somewhere. This was always a special highlight for me, bringing my tiny little sapling home from school, and I've always enjoyed watching my trees grow to be bigger than me or even bigger than a house. Both of these trees pictured, I planted on my parents' property between 20 and 30 years ago, and they're still growing strong. God has called us to take care of this beautiful creation, and in return, God provides for us in so many ways through the natural world. Maybe because I've always lived surrounded by trees and the beauty of the outdoors in Oregon, and because I enjoyed planting those trees and watching them grow as a kid, I have always been fascinated with the teachable moments God provides us through His creation. Trees, to me, have so much to show us. The strongest trees take many, many years to reach their peak of strength and purpose. Trees that are planted decoratively, like in newly landscaped strip mall parking lots or something, grow really fast and beautiful fast, but often don't have the strength and root system to survive a big storm. Trees often grow best in community. Some trees share root systems and help care for one another deep beneath the earth. Trees are homes, shelter, food for all sorts of other wildlife. Some trees provide fruit to be eaten. Some are best for construction of homes or furniture. Others are pollinators and help many other critters to survive. Each has their unique purpose and design, sort of like us, their own place in the order of things. Trees remind us that it's important to dig our roots deep down, to feed ourselves, to build for ourselves a good, strong foundation so that when the winds and floods come, we can come out still standing, remembering who we are and where our strength lies. I love seeing trees that have survived for many years in rugged landscapes or harsh environments. Up on a mountain at the fringe of the tree line, their trunk or limbs may be sparse in some parts. They appear weathered, kind of beat up. They've lived through a fire or a flood. Sometimes their trunk or limbs are twisted or gnarled. Maybe they've actually been broken and are laying on their side and started a new trunk growing out of the broken pieces. They have survived, despite the conditions that brought great challenge and damage to them, and they have continued to grow and to thrive. There's beauty in the imperfection of those trees. And it reminds me of the parable of the mustard seed, taught by Jesus and featured in this picture painted by Camp Arowana volunteer Araceli Martinez. In Matthew 13:31-32, it says, Jesus told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches. Our lives go through seasons just as the trees do. Make sure that you do what trees do. Dig your roots deep, feed and water your soul, provide shelter and meet the needs of others. Take care of the things God has blessed you with: people, finances, ministries, pets, jobs, trees, the earth itself. Don't rush your growth on purpose. The best things take much time to come to fruition. Plant seeds of hope for yourself and for others. Stand strong and survive the storms, which will pass. Be your unique self. Don't be ashamed of your scars or your gnarled up pieces. And always have faith, even when and especially when it's most difficult. A little bit of faith grows over time into a strong, resilient life that bears much fruit on many healthy vines and limbs.